person asks you a question, in other words, don't beat around the bush. If they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, ask them again to restate or rephrase the question. I'm not understanding exactly what you mean by, did I graduate high school in 4 years? Or, well, I had to take a year off because my father had passed away and I was working. Just like I said, ask for clarification if you don't understand the question, and then restate, then give them an answer. But don't ramble, because once again, it gives the impression that you're just beating around the bush and making up things as you go. And don't make negative comments about other employees. So if someone asks you a question like, well, have you been interviewing other places in the area? And you might say, well, yeah, I went to, I can't think of another landscaping company. I know True Ring, Brickman, I think is another one. Well, let's say it's another landscaping. You might say, yeah, I interviewed with Brickman, and I also interviewed with Warrington Golf Course. And they asked you, well, how did those interviews go? Well, I didn't like them, they were this, and you never want to say anything negative about anybody else that you interview with. You always want to be positive. You always want to be positive. Okay. Now we're going to talk about interviewing skills. Does anybody have any questions about etiquette? And if you want to add something also that you think that might need to go to the list that I didn't touch on. I mean, if there's anything that you want to add as we're going along, feel free, okay? Because I want to get as much feedback as possible. Now, when it comes to interviewing skills, first thing is research the company. Know exactly who you're interviewing for or interviewing with. The last thing you want to do is walk into an interview and someone says, yeah, we're hiring for this position. What do you know about True Green Land Care? And you're like, I don't know anything about you. I just heard that you're hiring. People say that. So take time, a day, two before, a week before, get on the internet and go to their website. And it should say a mission statement, it should say about us or something, about us, and read it. Understand that they have 400 locations around the country. Understand that they have irrigation systems, little things. They were founded in 1940. Know a little bit about the company that you're interviewing with. Like, same thing when you went and interviewed with Walmart. Know a little bit about them. Know that they were founded, I think, in Arkansas. And was founded by Sam Walton, I believe. But just know a little bit about who you're interviewing with before you walk in the door. That's why it's important in going early. Because if you weren't able to get that information, let's say it's a small company that doesn't have a website or doesn't have a lot of literature about them, if you get there early in their waiting room, they might have a little pamphlet, a little flyer about the business. How you doing? This is Dr. Joe. Come on and have a seat, Dr. Joe. They might have a pamphlet or some literature about the business that you can read just to give you an idea of what the business is about. Rehearse before the interview. Take time to practice in the mirror, ask yourself some questions, sit in the seat, just rehearse a little bit before the interview. Once again, dress appropriately for the position for which you're applying. Do you mind passing this down to Dr. George? We've already covered these things right here. I just wanted to let you know that we've already touched on. Now, bring a notepad and a pen to the interview for note-taking. It's very good that you all brought pen and paper here, because when they're asking you questions, let's say there's a question that you don't have the write the question down. Let's say there's a question that you have for them and they give you the information, you write it down. Because that gives you an opportunity to follow up with that interview at a later date. Because if they asked you a question and you don't have the answer, you write the question down. Then you can follow back up with them, showing that you follow up on the things that you say you're going to do. Take notes during the interview. Another thing is don't speak with your hands. A lot of people, when they're talking, they're this and that. Just try to keep your hands in your lap, or just be comfortable with it. Don't take up too much of their time. Begin with your introduction, engage in a brief conversation, and conclude with thanking them for taking the time to interview. After the interview is over, there might be some small chit-chat, but don't take up too much of their time. Let them go with their busy schedule. And before leaving, ask your interview for their business card. And the reason why I say that is because once you get their business card, that gives you an opportunity to follow up with them at a later time. If you don't know their name, their phone number, their email address, or their physical address, how can you follow up with that person? Don't start discussing salary and benefits at the interview. They'll bring that up. Just go in there and answer the questions at the interview. Don't leave the interview without asking for the job if you want it. So when you're there at the interview, actually before it's over, ask for the job. Say, I'm very interested in this position. I would really like you to hire me. Let them know you're serious about it. Be enthusiastic and smile. Once again, be happy that you're there. Speak slowly and clearly. Remember that your voice speaks volumes. Ask for clarification when needed, especially if you're unsure of a question. Sell yourself in every response. Follow up 1 week later with a follow-up phone call to the person that interviewed you. So just give them a call a week later, even if you leave them a voicemail, and state your name, the position that you applied for, and let them know that you're interested. And then 2 weeks after that, follow up with an email. This is appropriate and quick. Thank them for their time. Restate your interest and state your name again. So this is giving you as much input with the interviewer during the interviewing process as possible. You got anything you want to state?
The question of salary. So many times they would ask you, well, what salary you're looking for. Generally, if you go to a company and they have a position, they have a salary range that they would pay for that particular position. So if they really stick it to you for what salary you want, your basic response would be what is budgeted, the amount that is budgeted for that position would be fine with you. They also have a benefit package, and all of that is already defined for that position. So but the reason you do not want to do that, sometimes you state a salary and it is way overboard or way under. And that would essentially be like a negative, you see, if you're way over. Usually if you're under, that's really not a negative, but if you're way over. So the response you want to give for that question of salary is to say, well, you have established skill for that position, and whatever you have for that would be fine with you. That's how I would do it. The other thing too, when you say you have to be prepared, if you're going for a job and you want to be prepared for that question, if you apply for a job and you want to be the manager of a restaurant, you can go online and find out what is the average wage of a restaurant manager. So if they ask you that question and they really stick at you to give them a number, just go right in with it.